I don't think we are. Morning, everybody again. It seems that there was a power outage. We're probably running on generator here, and it caused the projector to shut off. So we just wait for IT to come back and turn it back on because I'm a bit vertically challenged. Um, while we're waiting, if you came in and you did not register by the front desk, would you mind using this opportunity to register because we'll be giving out certificates at the end of the seminar. And if you're not registered, we won't have your name to write up your certificate to give you at the end. So if you didn't, if you could use this opportunity, just go by the front desk and make sure you're registered to be as a participant. Thank you. Okay, problem. So with cooking again with gas, solid gas. But no, there's not an advertisement for them. Okay, so in this second section, I'll be doing an introduction to wastewater treatment. So we dive a little deeper into primary, secondary, and tertiary treatment. So as you can see, the composition of wastewater, which was alluded to in a previous video, we have scum, which is at the top, which floats to the top, which is floatable solids, fats, and oils. The effluent in the middle, which is relatively free of solids. And then we have the sludge, which is at the bottom, which is the sinkable sludge, which is the stuff from the toilet, which includes waste, human waste, bones, soil, unconsumed food particles. Wastewater is generally broken down into two types, black water and grey water. Black water is usually what comes from the toilet, which is feces, urine, toilet paper, toilet cleaner, water. We have kitchen under black water as well, even though it's technically also known as grey water. But I have a note here, so we put it under black water because sometimes you have raw food particles from the sink, and it can cause problems just like with black water. Grey water is usually shower, which is your soap, liquid chemicals water, laundry, which is soil from the dirt on the clothes, detergent, bleaches, lint, and water. These should not be run through the septic system because it will impede the bacteria or kill the bacteria, which is breaking down the waste in the black water. Next up, what is very important is retention time. Okay. The minimum retention time required here in St. Lucia by the Environmental Health Department is 24 hours. There's a formula for retention time, which is days, which is effective volume, tank capacity, divided by the flow rate gallons per day. So I did a rough sample here of the 750 gallon, which is authorized for 12 users. Now, the 50 gallons a day is just a figure I put in, assuming flushes of water by a person in a day using 50 gallons per day. So you get a retention time of 1.25 days. Now, the older, as I was advised by a plumber here, the older toilets here would use about 7 gallons of water in a flush, while the new tap toilets would do 1.6 gallons. More efficient. So on average, they usually about 5 flushes a day. I'm told household is just average, which is just average. And so that the calculation is like 12,775 flushes in a year, which rounded out about 35 gallons per person per day or per household. Right? So I went on the high end of 50 gallons. So you're still even using 50 gallons a day, you're still doing more than the minimum retention time. Why is retention time important? Retention time allows so that the solids can sink to the bottom of the tank and the scum to float. If there's not enough retention time, it will flow out of the tank. It could lead to clogging of the drains and going into either, if it's a drain field or soak away or whatever, you'll have too many solids on the other end. So retention time is important in your consideration for a septic tank. So you'll see an image here that they have the sludge at the bottom, again, scum. And if it is that the effluent filter, you're seeing way too much matter attached to it, then it's an indication of you have problems inside of the tank. So wastewater is treated in 3 stages. There's primary treatment, which is your regular septic tank, whether 2-chamber, 3-chamber, whatever. Secondary treatment, which can be done with either a soak away or ETU, aerobic treatment unit. And then there's tertiary treatment, which is either a chlorinator or UV light. I will be touching on all 3 in this part of this presentation. So primary treatment. Primary treatment occurs through sedimentation, which involves the separating of the solids and liquids in the wastewater. This normally happens in your septic tank that you have attached to your house. Like what we've been showing here, the 750-gallon septic tank is primary treatment. Secondary treatment. The secondary treatment is an additional phase where the wastewater goes further treatment. This reduces odors and other content in the septic tank, so that the secondary treatment could be a soak away or a leach field, or it could be a prefabricated tank that you attach if you have challenges in a particular area where you can't have a soak away or a leach field. But the takeaways and the digesters, because we make a product called a digester, which I'll come to, facilitate further breakdown of the wastewater and the organic matter and removal of contaminants. So you'll see here that there's a soak away where secondary treatment will begin. And these are usually a pit attached to your primary septic tank. What is a soak away? A soak away drainage system designed to purify and discharge the effluent below ground and into natural soil. So it will permeate into the walls, and the earth will help with the breakdown as well. Now, it's important too that you don't put soak aways where you have high water tables or whatnot, because this can cause problems. So it's not just a matter of just building a soak away. You have to be cognizant of what the soil type is and the topography of the area. So the effluent enters the pit where it's temporarily stored until it gradually infiltrates side or bottom walls. It's important, as I said, when choosing way that the water table is a factor in deciding it because um, while it may be fine in dry season, if you have a high water table in wet season it raises up, then you'll have issues with water in the soakaway. And clay soils are always unsuitable for soakaways because they become waterlogged very quickly with that. Sorry. So some of the considerations which are very important with soakaway is soil type, the groundwater level, the distance from water sources, also your local regulations come into play. Right? So that if the area is poor soil, high water table, you can't put it too close to a road, a building or water source where one has been previously installed, or close to electrical cables, gas lines, trees with large roots, or areas risk of flood. I give you a prime example. When I was here, when they had the flood up north here 2, 3 years ago, where Grizzly was basically washed away. A client came into us. He had an Airbnb. He had a septic and soakaway near a river, some river up here, and the floods wrecked it. And he came and he said, "Oh, he needs to get a 1,500 gallon septic tank." So well, we don't normally stop septic. I can order it and bring it. He said, "No, no, he's it now because people can't go to the toilet." I was like, "Oh, okay, well, we could probably do two 750s." And he's like, "Yeah." So the very next day, the excavator excavated out the old concrete septic tank, dropped in two 750s, connected in plumber. So by day three, the tenants were able to use the toilet once again, much to their relief. Relief, get a jump, relief. Get. Anyway, now if you had to rebuild the concrete septic tank, they'd better be suffering with constipation if you had to do that, you know? So, right. Um, So secondary treatment units, prefabricated units which we manufacture, can be used where some of these conditions before we can't met. If you have clay or sands, it's the groundwater is too close, or like my example, like even Otabor where it was hard bedrock, so they couldn't do a soak away. High water table, or just prone to flooding, and so that they, as the example I gave, they would just fail. So we do different types of prefabricated treatment units. One we do is a digester. Yeah, the images we have to update this the old single chamber fat boy, but it's for explanation purposes that we would have a tank and we have bio balls, so some plastic balls that you put in it where the effluent flows into it. And the bio balls provide a greater surface area for the material to attach to and for anaerobic breakdown of the waste. So it breaks down in the water. So we have a digester. It does not use any air, it's just the balls in it. So that's one option. Right? And then afterwards, what could flow away into the soakaway is treated. So we see a simple example here of an anaerobic system. So you have the wastewater going into the first tank, with your effluent is then the sludge flows over into the second chamber with your bioballs, and then a more treated version goes into the soakaway. All right, so that if there are issues with the soil or the area where we can't take wastewater from just primary treatment, you can treat it and then move it into the either soakaway or leach field. Next up, I have a short little video showing anaerobic treatment, a cute little cartoon type one. So interestingly, a gentleman approached me during the break about biogas. I hope this finds this video funny, in that it is one of the things you can do to help generate power or other matters through biogas. So that is something I'm having further discussions with him. Next up, we have aerobic treatment, which is different from anaerobic treatment, which uses air and diffusers, which injects air into the tank, which helps break down the same bacteria, uh, and so provides another form of treatment, right? And so you have both options of anaerobic and ATUs. Now we have done a combined one, which I will come to in a little bit as well. But I should stress that both with the anaerobic and the aerobic treatment, and we see this in every territory where we are, um, there are different standards in different territories for the treated waste, and that we always say that have your local EMA or local authority test the output of the secondary treatment and let them say based on the levels they find what it is suitable for. Different territories may say it's maybe fine for irrigation, some may say not. Some may say it's fine to pump into the sea, some may say it's not. Some may say you can use it to put back in the toilets to flush, wash vehicles or whatever, or even pump it into the soil because now it's treated of the conditions they will allow its absorption, or they may say it's not. But like I said, we never get involved and say, oh yes, after you do this, you can do that. We say, please refer to your local authority and them have it tested and let them determine based on your local requirements what can be done with the secondary treated wastewater. Our modular wastewater system. So our same modular tank, we can do it as well to do secondary treatment. So you'll see now a cutaway where we have a 4-chamber system where the waste enters the first one. We have sludge and scum. We have our bioballs and our filter in the second one to test for anaerobic. Into a third aerobic chamber, which provides aeration. We have our air pump as well, providing the air. And then you can put in a fourth chamber where you have clarification before it exits the system out into the soakaway leach field or whatever. So this is a possibility that we can do for those who are asking me here about this. So using our modular septic tank. Recirculation. We were at the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association seminar convention last year. It's a yearly thing. It was in Trinidad last year, where we displayed a tank made from modular tank, a 3-chamber tank, which had the bio balls in the first chamber. Sorry, those who get back can see. The middle chamber had diffuser and air, and then the third chamber was a recirculation unit. So we recirculate water back into the first chamber and run it through again or several times before exiting the system. Why would we do this? Recirculation plays an important role. It can reduce the amount of bacteria, and by having more air in the system, makes it easier to process and come out. Also, too, they'll have less sludge in the system because it'll be based in the bottom of the chambers, right? This manner of treatment, even with the 4-chamber one before, improve at the end has gone through the system multiple times. Once again, I'll say, even if you use this system which we developed, still require treatment. Now, normally what we would do is with all different countries or territories, we'd only sell primary septic systems to different people, and we get more involved with the secondary. But this takes some time, so we are developing package systems like this one that we showed at the CWWA, so that you'll have ready systems to go that can do treatment. But only if you have a really specialized project that would go beyond a package system, then we will work with you as we do now. But we wanted to start in the future, probably 2026, having package systems ready. So you can buy your primary, biosecondary attached. It will have either both aerobic or anaerobic, or just one or the other. We will have different options, and you could connect it up and ready to go. So the benefits of using recirculation includes enhanced oxygenation. By recirculating, the effluent oxygen is distributed more evenly through the system, promoting higher bacterial activity and faster decomposition. Better solids management, like I say, reducing amount of solids, it prevents clogging in the pipes in and out, and reduce pathogen, enhanced pathogen reduction. So it breaks down some of the pathogens in the wastewater. So what comes out is less harmful to either the environment or the next stage. Then we have tertiary treatment. So even on top of that, we can still provide even further treatment. There are two types of treatment that we provide, both chlorination and UV light. Both have their benefits and I don't say faults, but why one may be better than the other, one is more accepted. So the purpose of this is for disinfectation and to remove harmful microorganisms, either by using chlorine or ultraviolet light. First one I'm going to look at is the chlorinator. So it adds chlorine to the system. And yes, we do have a chlorination device that you just put tablets in, you connect it in, and it will disperse it into the system rather than you having to go and drop a blocking every now and then. This, you only need to refill it and it will do it. Now, chlorination has, they have some arguments about it in that it can cause harm to the environment. But the other side is it's cheap. It's cheap, and so sometimes it's hard to convince people to go with a more expensive system. So some of the benefits is that it's effective at disinfecting inactive bacteria and viruses and other harmful microorganisms, and like I said, relatively inexpensive. But the amount of chlorine needed depends on factors such as the quality of the wastewater, contact time, and desired level of chlorination. Overdosing can lead to harmful levels of disinfectation, while underdosing may result in incomplete disinfectation. And chlorine can be harmful to humans if handled improperly, and also to aquatic life if discharged directly into waterways. Now, like I said, always local knowledge. Somebody approached me about putting a chlorinator for something to go into the marina. I was a bit concerned about the, the aquatic life. They said, no, don't worry about that. There's some rugged Lucia fish there. Nothing can kill them. They're like cockroaches. So don't worry. Pour the whole bottle of bleach. They can live. So, next up, we have UV light, which is used now. I've seen this. It was interesting. I did a visit to WASA, which is the Trinidad version of WASCO in Trinidad, where they use UV light at the treatment plant. So the wastewater passes through the tubes with the UV light and disinfects it. It does it a little faster than Juju, but it's pretty quick. Okay? So it's safe and it has a kill rate of over 99%. So WASA in Trinidad uses UV light in their treatment. So it's a long tubes, and you see the water running through it and treating it. So some of the benefits, it does not introduce any chemicals like chlorinators into the environment. It's highly effective or effective. It requires minimal maintenance and it achieves disinfection within seconds or minutes. Some of the things you have to consider, its effectiveness can be impacted by the water quality, and it requires energy, the power to run the UV lights as opposed to the chlorinators, which do not. So that's why I mean, like there are some both positives and challenges with both types. Septic tank maintenance. As a West Indian, this is a problem everywhere. Maintenance. We spend money buying the best thing, we don't maintain it, it breaks down, we wait too long to maintain it, and then it's more expensive, and then you just go buy a whole new system, put it in, don't maintain that one, and the cycle continues. It's not a unique problem to St. Lucia, Trinidad, it's throughout the Caribbean. I hear the same thing. But with your septic tank, it's very important that you maintain your septic tank. Do not throw your antibiotics or household disinfectants during the toilet. I know people like to clean the toilet with bleach, but you're causing more harm than good by doing that. Okay. Now there are um, types of cleaners that you can use to clean your toilet, which will not be harmful. Outside of the United States, they're a little more expensive when they bring it down here. So I know the argument like, God, I don't want to pay for that. I'm going to use my bleach. But then you're causing more problems in the long run.
So you've installed a low-profile septic tank. Now it's time to maintain it. All Rhino low-profile septic tanks are designed for durability and efficient waste management. However, regular maintenance is essential to ensure your septic system functions properly. Timely maintenance prevents costly repairs, avoids backups, protects our environmental health, and extends the life of your septic system. Regular inspection is recommended to check for any visible damage, leaks, or blockages. Though you may require a septic professional to assist you, here are the steps you need for proper maintenance. Step 1. Inspection. Every 12 to 18 months, or as required, the tank should be checked to determine the depth of both the scum and sludge. In a low-profile tank, the scum should not exceed 3 inches and sludge should not exceed 10 inches. In addition, if the wastewater level is too high or too low, it is a clear sign of malfunction. Call your septic technician to make recommendations. Step 2. Pumping. Pump out the tank every 3 to 5 years, or as required, depending on the levels of sludge and scum. Note that choosing a smaller tank than recommended will increase the frequency of required pump outs. Step 3. Cleaning the effluent filter. Clean as needed to prevent clogging, avoiding backups. Step 4. Secure the tank lid with the 20-inch manway covers and 8-inch inspection ports. Risers are available to provide protection. Continually monitoring your system is the best way to determine when and how often you should inspect and pump your septic tank. Otherwise, here's what you can do to maintain a healthy septic system. Avoid flushing non-biodegradable items down the toilet, like paper towels, cigarette butts, disposable diapers, wipes, feminine hygiene products, condoms, medications, cotton balls, and dental floss. Only wastewater from toilets should be allowed into the septic tank. Rainwater from showers, laundry, and sinks will cause irreparable damage to the organic environment inside the septic system. Do not pour toxic substances, medicines such as antibiotics or household disinfectants down the drain. They disrupt the natural biological performance of the system. Ultimately, regular maintenance of your Rhino low-profile septic tank ensures efficient operation and longevity.
Okay. So maintenance is important, and as I said, you should not run your gray water through the septic tank. Now I know there's some locations where they do it, but then you need to size the tank a lot bigger if you do want to run both black water and gray water in it, so that the standard that we give you there based on is for toilet waste only. So that if you run gray water, then the capacity, the amount of doses reduce, or you need to really size the tank bigger to work with your gray water. Now, I would like to thank the Environmental Health Department for providing me with information about the standards here in St. Lucia. For each different territory, we collect all the different standards. So what operates here is the OECS building code in St. Lucia. And also they provide me guidelines on minimum septic tank dimensions and other information on it. We also have regional standards from Guyana. We haven't done one in Guyana yet, but we will be. Trinidad and Tobago, there was an Antigua and Barbuda. We got the information from them, um, and also from Jamaica. Now I know St. Lucia using OCS code is also used in Grenada, St. Vincent, and I think it's one or two others. They use the same code, they're just minor tweaks based on the territory with different standards. But it's what we do is we collect these standards to see what is required in different regions to make sure that when we're designing our tanks, that we can meet all standards in all different territories where possible, so that when we supply you with a septic tank, you can use it. Different territories have minimum gallonages, as we found that St. Lucia, the minimum gallonage allowed is a 750-gallon septic tank and greater. Different territories use different ways to measure what is required. Here it is gallonages and holding time. Grenada, it's based on actual bathrooms. And so different territories use different ways to determine sizing of the septic tank for different purposes. So why rotoplastic septic tanks are the best choice for you? Besides the modular tank, which is expandable and to requirements, but the smallest model we can do is 680. The advantage being that it can be both above ground and underground. We have our low profile Rhino 750-gallon, which originally we were offering to do 10 persons, but after meeting with environmental health, they advised we can offer it for 12 persons. So now you can do 12 persons that either mini Airbnb or the capacity. You can use more, or you can use a 1500-gallon, which can do 24 persons. So we have options available for you at Rotoplastics in Lucia. So the benefits, they're easy to handle, they're lightweight, durable, inexpensive compared to doing a concrete septic tank. They're generally one-piece construction, except the Rhino 1500 and modular, which are joined. From the old 750, we make it 1500, and the modular, of course, by its nature, is modular, so we can expand it. They're non-corrosive, watertight, repairable, non-porous, and just like with our water tanks, we have a 10-year warranty on our septic tanks, manufacturer's warranty. This brings me to the close of the second part of the presentation. I'm opening the floor once again to any questions from anybody. Shane, do you have mic there? Anybody has any questions? Mr. Vitalis from Environmental Health.
Thanks for your presentation, sir.
Yes.
This one, I wanted to speak on a few things in terms of chlorination. Chlorination indeed is a very positive way and good way of treating your effluent or your supernatant. What I want to mention, we have to be mindful of the dosing. It's important that the correct amount of dosing is added. Also, you have to be mindful of your retention time. And again, for septic tanks, chlorination has to be very calculated because of the way it operates, the septic tank operates. You may not get a reduction of the suspended solids to really and truly have efficacy of chlorination. So we need to be mindful of those components. I want to speak also on compliance in terms of retrofitting those tanks. When approval is given, it speaks to a certain condition under which you have been approved. When it comes to retrofitting, it has to go through the authorities to again reassess the retrofitting which you are going to do. Again, it has to, for compliance purposes, to see whatever you're proposing, is it adequate and whatnot. So again, I want us to be mindful. And this is taking me back to your comment which you made about when you retrofitted a system, again, and you added the chlorination. And it clearly states that once we are doing any retrofitting, compliance has to be sought in terms of what are we doing. We need to be aware as to what is happening and could guide the process. And at the end of the day, no environmental impacts to occur with that. When you spoke about the recirculation in terms of the septic tanks and whatnot, again, just adding to that point, when you recirculate, what you do, you add essential microbes back to that system where you have the group, and again, it aids in the composition and whatnot of that system. But again, I want to enforce and emphasize the compliance aspect of it and also be mindful. A lot of things we do from a layman's perspective, we think it just can't just happen and whatnot, but there are implications to what we do. And thus, we need to seek the compliance and the guidance of the authorities as to how we move forward in whatever we do.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Vitalis. You see, I went back to the slide with chlorinated to reinforce the point which I had said that the amount of overdosing can lead to high levels of harmful disinfection, right? And while underdosing may result in incomplete disinfection. So he's right that it has to be measured. That requires little calculations, which is above my pay grade, but there are specialists for that to work out how much and how often. Thank you, Mr. Vitalis, for your very helpful contribution. Go back. Any other questions? Yes. Hi.
Thank you, Mr. Flaps.
Yes.
Presentation. I was just interested in finding out whether Rotoplastics has faced any legal issue across the region as it relates to septic tank construction and installation.
No, and
human settlement development.
no, because and like I said, this is one of the primary reasons when I and my predecessors we visit with like Mr. Vitalis from Environmental Health to get this information to make sure that we're not in contravention. And it is information that is used to in helping us to design our systems. So as of yet, no, we have not encountered any legal or thing from any organization or regulatory authority in any territory so far. And we do seek to work with them. We are currently in Trinidad involved in WASA, the Bureau of Standards, and others. They're redoing the septic tank standard because it's quite outdated. It does not even mention plastic septic tanks in it. So we are working with the authorities with them too, where they're redoing the septic tank standard. From my discussion with Guyana Bureau of Standards, what I found is that a lot of the bureaus throughout the Caribbean work together and they try not to duplicate work. So if one bureau does a standard, they would tend to look at it and once it's acceptable, it would generally be accepted throughout the region. So that's true CARICOM in action there. But like I said, we are working with the Bureau of Standards to make sure that our septic tanks and any future septic tanks will meet all standards and regulations for use. But we are always open to listen and talk to any authority in any territory who has any input about our septic tanks and any issues. A prime example is right, there's some territories which will not allow us to sell or not allow us to offer a 500-gallon septic tank because their minimum is 750. Now we make septic tanks 300-gallon, 500-gallon, 750 and up, but we can't market it in all territories because it would not be approved. As Mr. Vitalis said, most time when you're coming to do your construction, you have to get approval from here, from OTC and Environmental Health. They're just not going to approve it because it doesn't meet their requirements. So we're mindful of that, and that's why every territory I go to, I meet with them to gather this information. So we have a database of that information. I was just in the Turks and Caicos last week. I met with their planning department, which does the same thing like the environmental health here, collecting their information. So before we start marketing or selling septic tanks into that market, we will know what their requirements are. So that answered your question. Okay. Anybody else? So this comes to the end of my part of the presentation. And I will next up, we will have my colleague, Isabel Ross, who will be doing water pumps. And then after the president, we'll have a break. Or What time? What time? Oh, 11:30. Yes, it's your time. So Isabel here, and then she'll do a presentation, and then we'll break again for refreshments. So I bring Kim back up on stage, who will do the introduction for Isabel, and then we'll take it from there. To everyone, thank you very much. I've enjoyed presenting to you. I look forward to talking to you after. Any questions, any help, feel free to talk to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you for that. Just to clarify, we will be breaking before bringing up Miss Ross. So we want to thank everybody for the attendance. We're just going to break for a 30 minutes straight down the hallway through the double doors, get some refreshments, come right back because we do have lots of prizes to give away and also put on your listening and thinking caps so you can get those lovely prizes. See you in 30 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Good afternoon. We're going to be reintroducing Mr. Claps. He's going to be giving away three prizes, like I said earlier. Your thinking caps, interactive, and everybody else who was listening. So, Mr. Warren Claps.
Hello. Is everybody back inside? Everybody saying, well, they didn't get a prize because they're outside. Nobody tell them. So, okay, very simple. To win a prize, to see who was paying attention, I'm going to ask three questions from within my presentation or somewhere. And if you know the answer, put up your hand. Now, it's probably going to be like class. We're going to have to see who puts up their hand fastest. If we didn't see any, please no fighting between the tables. There'll be three prizes. There'll be more later, so you may get a second chance. Okay, so let's go. In my presentation, I talked about a device that if you had effluent and your soak away was at a higher level than the septic tank, what was the name of that? Okay, spell in the pink shield at the back of the side. Just lift station. Correct. You are a winner. Never know later. No, that's what we have to give away. You have to stay to find out. Okay. Have to do something that you can't see easily. Okay, no. I'll do that. Okay. So it's rainy season. You have no water in your pipe, but you need water. It's raining. You have a tough tank. So, no, repeat, sorry. What? Rainwater harvester. Okay, I'll save the one from Jamaica for later. You know the one I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay. Last question. Um, we have two types of secondary treatment units. One is aerobic, and the other one is anaerobic. Aerobic uses air, anaerobic does not, but it uses something that we put in the tank. Do you remember what I call them? The gentleman back to grass gentleman. Yes. Your balls. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Okay, so I gave away three. There's more to give away, not from me, but keep listening. You can win prizes. Now hand you back over to Kim.
Thank you, Warren. Congratulations to all our prize winners. Again, we do have plenty more where that came from. Our next speaker will be none other than Miss Isabel Ross, who will be discussing Pentax water pumps. Isabel Ross is the regional brand specialist for the water pumps and heaters at Rotoplastics. Her extensive background in the sales and marketing of these products span over 5 years, providing her with the valuable industry insights. Isabel holds an MBA from Anglia Ruskin University and has successfully developed and delivered multiple water pump and heater seminars within the region. She is passionate about educating others on these products, stating, as the Dalai Lama says, that to share your knowledge is to immortalize it. Sorry. Beyond her professional achievements, Isabel is an avid hiker, constantly seeking her challenges, where her latest conquest was the Gobi Tour. Join Isabel as she shares her practical advice on water pump and heater selection, troubleshooting, and installation. Drawing from her extensive experience in the field, let's give a warm welcome to Miss Isabel Ross.
Thank you for the warm welcome. How is everybody going today? Yeah, that's good. So to start off, before we jump into the world of pumps and pressure, we're going to take a moment to talk about top tank buckets. And lucky for you guys, there's another prize involved. So, same as what Warren did, person to put up their hand first would be the first person to ask the question wins the prize. So, what sets top tank aside from the competitors? And the inner lining, that is correct. So all top tanks have a health guard inner lining. This is made of virgin polyethylene, which is FDA approved and safe food and drinking water. So it's safe for all of your family's needs. Portable water, this is a tank for you. So congratulations, you have won a Joe Robo float valve. So before we go into Penzance pumps, I just want to overview on Joe valves and how it works.
Roto float valves are float-operated valves for automatic filling of water troughs and tanks. The Roto can be mounted above or below the water level. It's a simple, mechanically operated valve. The Roto is a good choice where its low flow is sufficient and its compact, non-corrosive construction is beneficial. The Roto has a convenient lock-off switch to turn the valve off to make emptying and cleaning the trough easier. When mounted below the water, the length of the cord attaching the float sets the water height. When mounted above the water, the float is attached directly to the valve. There is a check valve built into the inlet thread, and when the Roto valve is unscrewed for servicing, the check valve cuts off the water flow. This can be done without turning off water supply at the pump, which saves time, water, and makes the job easier. If a lower water level is needed, the float can be attached with this extension. The float can be fitted at various angles and heights using a range of extension arms, 25mm, 50mm, 75mm, and 100mm arms are available. The Rojo float valve, a small valve that's big on features.
All right, so what do you think about the Robo float valve? Have you ever seen a product like this before? All right, so Robo valves are available at Rotoplastics in as well as our partnering hardware store station. So you can check out the hardware store near you, purchase the Robo Joe float valve. So now this is where the pressure begins. Pentax water pumps. So Pentax's mission is to offer high quality solutions for every need and markets with the addition of passion and excellence that comes with an Italian manufactured brand. So there you have it, a glimpse into Pentax's operations, their factory. And what really stands out about Pentax as a brand is that they test all of their pumps, 100% of their pumps, twice before it leaves their factory in Italy. So you may notice when you buy a pump, you may see a little bit of water in the front casing, and that is not by error, that's by design. They want you to know that they have tested the pump and it is working well. So that's the extra quality assurance, the steps that they take as a company to reassure us as customers that we are getting the finest products in the market. So Pentax was founded in 1990, so they're 35 years old. They're made in Italy, and their products are widely distributed over 120 countries worldwide. And that is really a testament to the quality and the service that they provide. So with Pentax, Rotoplastics has been very lucky. We've had an excellent relationship with them over the last 30 years. They have provided us with a lot of support, from training to any issues that may arise. They're quick to address it, and we work very closely with partners. With their support, that enables us to offer our customers an even higher level of support within the markets, because this support just carries on. So much so that we have extended our warranty from 2 years to 3 years. Based on our experience with the pumps, they are excellent. They've worked for decades. and it's a fantastic pump. So we took it upon us to treat our customers with the peace of mind of a 3-year warranty. So these are some of the pumps that are available at Rotoplastics in Lucia Limited. We have the PM series. This is a transfer pump. It's ideal for moving water, perhaps between 2 tanks, and not quite recommended for household use as the horsepower and pressure rating is quite low. The inox, CAM, and the cab series. This is what is ideal for your domestic applications, and the cab series even for your light commercial applications. So these are self-priming jet pumps, and they use centrifugal force to power them. On our far right, not sure if everyone can see, we have the DX series pump. This is used for grey water, black water application. So it can handle suspended solids, and it could be used both residentially as well as commercially. So there you have it. For your drainage needs, we have the DX 100. It is stainless and has a vortex impeller, so it definitely handles suspended solids for all your grey and black water applications. Moving on, we're going to dive into the centrifugal range. So next, we're going to look at a video on what is the centrifugal force, and this is what powers the pump.
Centrifugal pumps are the most preferred pumping devices in the hydraulic world. In this video, we will have a conceptual overview of working of centrifugal pumps. At the heart of the system lies the impeller. It has got a series of curved vanes fitted inside shroud plates. The impeller is always immersed in water. When the impeller is made to rotate, it makes the fluid surrounding it also rotate. This imparts centrifugal force to water particles, and the water moves radially out. Since rotational mechanical energy is transferred to the fluid, at discharge side of the impeller, both pressure and kinetic energy of water will rise. At suction side, water is getting displaced, so a negative pressure will be induced at I. Such low pressure helps in sucking fresh water stream into the system again, and this process continues.
So this is the central fuel force that powers our CAM series and our CAB series. So you can just imagine what goes in the engineering, the technology to delivering that high pressure that you get in the tap. And I don't know if anybody has tested out on live station yet, but you can really feel the power of the Pentax pump. I invite you all in our next break to take a look at it. And yes, feel the pressure of Pentax firsthand.
Central.
So I actually have a surprise for you today. We are bringing in a new pump, and I want you guys to be the first to know. So this year, Rotoplastics and Lucia will be introducing the inox range of pumps. Has anybody ever dealt with the inox pump before? All right, well, you're in for a treat. It's stainless steel, greater corrosion resistance, which makes it perfect for those coastal areas applications. So without further ado, my colleague Jan, we'll meet in a little while, will explain the new inox pumps.
That's something great to show you today. We're looking for a reliable, hard-working water pump for your house or garden, introducing the Pentax Inox series. First off, its pump features stainless steel AISI 304 point piece, which means they're built to resist corrosion. Less rust means reduced maintenance. This durability ensures that your pump will stand up to the elements for years to come. Its smooth stainless steel surface inhibits bacterial growth. It's ideal for domestic settings for everything from water transfer and rainwater harvesting to keeping your garden lush and thriving. I have to say, having a dependable pump like the Inox series backed by its 3-year warranty is a game changer. It's built up, works hard, keeps everything going just the way you need.
So there you go, ladies and gents, the inox series. Does anybody have any current need or application for any of these self-priming jet pumps with stainless steel front casing? Can you see that being something you'd like to install? Right, great.
There's something to
So with Pentax, you get the 3-year warranty. You get the benefits of Italian engineering and excellence. All the pumps, you know, you have the peace of mind, and you can also share that with your customer that they're tested twice, as well as it has been the #1 pump in St. Lucia for the over 2 decades, and within the Caribbean for over 30 years. Not only that, Rotoplastics St. Lucia and our partner hardware stores have assembled systems available. So that means it's a plug and play. So as you can see, there's a smart head cam series on top with the plug ready to go, as well as a pressure tank system with your pressure switch, your pressure gauge, everything assembled to make your job as easy as possible. So these are our assembled pump systems. So you notice our pumps are either assembled with a pressure tank or a smart head, or locally known as a smart switch. So pressure tanks that we carry are the Zilmer brand. This is made in Italy, and they are fantastic quality. With pressure tanks, we always say the bigger the tank, the better. Simply because from a pump manufacturer's point of view, the longer periods that your pump can run is better for your pump. Reason being, it's less work on your pump, it runs more efficiently, and you save cost with electricity because your pump is running better. So think about it, an analogy. So driving down the John Compton Highway versus driving through the windy roads of Superior. Your car is going to run and your motor is going to run far more efficient than the John Compton Highway when there's no traffic. Versus the winding roads of Superior. So similar to the pump. The bigger the pressure tank is, the more efficient it's going to run because it gets to run at longer periods with less variation. So it's better for your pump's longevity. So how does the pressure tank work? Well, here's a brief little overview. So in this setup, you notice that there's a submersible deep well pump. The application still stands the same if it was a self-priming centrifugal pump, but it would just be on the ground next to the tank. But the concept is the same. So let's take a look.
Your well may be where your water comes from, but it would be useless without the mechanical system that conveys the water to your house, stores it, and provides the pressure so it will flow. This image represents a typical well and water system for a home. In this example, the well has a screen, so it's a well finished in the sand and gravel aquifer. The pump is in the well just above the screen. The pump lifts the water up a pipe, called a drop pipe, to the pitless unit, part of the pitless adapter. There, the discharge pipe elbows horizontally and carries the water into the house. Once in the house, the water goes into the pressure tank. Or if it's a period of heavy water use that kicked on your pump, the water goes straight into the line to your faucets, shower, or dishwasher. The pressure tank stores water and also creates the pressure in the system that allows water to flow, open up a faucet, or turn on the shower. There are many additional parts that make up your water system. Some of them you can see here, including the well cap, electrical control box, pressure switch, and a faucet on your pressure tank. We can't stress enough the importance of a properly sealed well cap. So many systems we come across have missing bolts, are cracked. Your well may be where your water comes from, but
Okay, so as they said, when you turn on a tap in your home, you draw down from the water that's stored in the pressure tank. Only when this water is depleted, then your pump will kick on. So your pump, if it's a quick wash, may not even turn on. So you're saving your pump from working continuously or shutting on and off continuously as well. So this is what the inside of the pressure tank looks like. So with Silmex, the 8 and the 18-liter tanks come with a diaphragm. What this means is that the butyl diaphragm is sealed into the diameter of the pressure tank. So it's not a balloon type bladder then. So air is stored at the top and water at the bottom. With the new Zilmec Easy Pro tanks that we're going to be getting later on this year, some features that you can look forward to would be they have a polypropylene in a liner. And this is what we have on display here, so I definitely advise you check it out. And what's great about this liner is that water does not sit in the pressure tank. So that means it's reducing the likelihood of corrosion, extending the life of the tank. Not only that, it comes with a stainless steel fitting at the base. And as many of you installers know, often the weakest point in the pressure tank, or where it often goes bad first, is at that connection. You see it a lot with the flange type pressure tanks as well. So with this is a massive improvement, and we're looking forward to receiving it the next couple of months. With the 24-liter tanks, the 500-liter tanks that we carry, the setup is a little bit different. It comes with a bladder, and the bladder is essentially a balloon within the tank. So similar, the air will be stored at the top and the water within the bladder. Of course, all pressure tank systems come with different components that are essential to making the system work. As mentioned, Rotoplastics does assemble these pumps with the pressure gauge, the pressure switch, as well as the flow switch. So with the pressure gauge, it will tell you the pressure that your pump is building. So this is a clear indicator if something may be wrong with your pumping system, or if it's time for maintenance check. So we sell the pressure gauges separately, and it's available in 6 and 12 bar in both glycerin, filled or unfilled. And then you can get the axial mount or as well as the radial mount. So both come in 1/4-inch bore, made specifically for the Pentax pumps. With the pressure switch, So this pressure switch is like the mechanical brain of the pump. So it tells your pump when to cut in or turn on and to cut out or turn off. So the square D pressure switches that we carry have a maximum PSI of 80. So it's perfect for all your pumping needs. And it's available in both male or female connection. Does anybody know what this item is here? Float switch. All right. What is a float switch? Anybody? Yes. Yes, exactly that. Yes. So we can we get a prize for this gentleman over here? Thank you very much. So the float switch is installed in your water tank and it's connected to your water pump. It prevents your pump from running without water or dry run. So why this is important is if you have no water and your pump runs without water, they can have serious repercussions. One, meaning boiling water from overheating, swollen fittings, and ultimately water pump burnout. So a float switch is absolutely essential to installing any pressure tank system. This is what you need for the warranty for your pump. Otherwise, any dry run operation will not be covered under warranty. So for all of your installations with your pressure tanks, you want to ensure that you have this float switch. And we actually have one on display here that you can take a look at. And yes, I'd love to chat more about it with you afterwards. Right. So with pressure tanks, of course, the air pressure matters. So does anybody know how often they should check their pressure tank, the pressure in the pressure tank? Any guesses? All right, John, let's hear that. That is correct. So every 6 months, you should check the pressure in your pressure tank. So the reason being, you want to make sure that your tank isn't under pressurized or over pressurized. If it's under pressurized and there's not enough air, you run the risk of your bladder expanding to the width of the tank, as well as that can cause friction, which may lead to issues such as holes and eventually waterlogging. What you may experience in your home is the pressure drop before the pump kicks in, or possible short cycling if your pressure tank has too little air. So you want to make sure that your pressure tank is pressurized all the time. So every 6 months, we do those maintenance checks. On the flip side, if it's overpressurized, you run into other issues. What it means is that you don't get the full volume of your pressure tank because the air will not allow enough water to flow in. So you will experience a reduction in drawdown capacity, meaning that your pump will cycle on and off very regularly. So you're putting extra work on your pump. So when it comes to pressurizing your tank, we always use a 20 psi pressure differential. So the square D pressure switches that we sell come preset to 20 cut in, 40 cut out. So this can be adjusted based on your needs. So as we said, it goes up to 80 psi. And what you will do is you will pressurize your tank to 2 psi below your cutting pressure. So if your cutting pressure is 30 psi, you'll set the pressure so you will put the you will put in 28 psi of pressure into your tank. Of course, with pressure tank systems, Installation is very important. So we have our Zilmet Pentax water pump system here. You always want to make sure that you have on the suction a check valve to prevent backflow and to maintain the prime in your water pump, as well as a union for easy servicing. And then on the discharge, you will also have a union, another check valve as well to maintain the pressure, and a ball valve to lock on and off the supply of water. So where do you install the pressure tank? Well, pressure tanks are a preferred choice for larger applications. Pump controllers can be restricted by nature, and it can be difficult for them to overcome the weight of the gravity of water in the pipes. So we always recommend pressure tank applications for dual and triple story homes and offices and commercial applications. The pressure tank also as well stores water pressurized. So it is again less work on your pump. And the benefit for that is that it also gets to run for longer periods of time, and then extending the longevity of your pump. So with Zilmet, we have a range of sizes. So from 8 liters to 500 liters. It's durable construction with deep drawn steel shell. It's anti-corrosive both on the interior and the exterior. So there's an internal coating on the outside. There's an epoxy polyester coating. Of course, these are designed with you and your family in mind. It's health approved, meaning that there's no opportunity for bubbles to be trapped or bacteria to grow. So it's safe for potable water applications and for your family's drinking supply. Zilmet is globally renowned. So they're European manufactured based in Italy, and they have all the certifications from PED 2014, EU, WRAS, NSF, IAPMO, and ACS. Not only that, Zilmet tanks come backed by a 1-year warranty, and Rotoplastics and Lucia is here to support if anything goes wrong with your pressure tank. So keep your pump pumping longer with the pressure tank system. So if not a pressure tank system, we go with the smart head. And I know from experience, this is St. Lucia's favorite option. Am I right? Right, I thought so. So the smart heads that we have in store are the Quilbo smart heads. They're made in Spain, and we have 2 designs available: the compact 2 as well as the control pump. So a compact 2 is an all-in-one device. So what does this mean? It's compact. We just spoke about pressure tank systems. You have to get a pressure switch, a pressure gauge, a fluid switch, all of that, and of course a pressure tank, which is quite bulky. All of those items are engineered into this one device, the Quilbo Smart Head. So what that means is that it's space saving, and you can actually fit very well in our pump house. The pump house will give you extra protection where your pump is installed outside. What is also fantastic about a smart head is it has a built-in safety device. So that means if your pump runs dry, but there's no water in the tap or in your tank, that your pump won't run dry. So it has that extra protection so that you don't have to worry about losing your investment in a water pump when there's no water in your tank. It's also low maintenance. We just spoke about how pressure tanks check the air, repressurize every 6 months as needed. There's no check in air here. It just goes. And not only that, Quilbo just extended their warranty for the Caribbean to 2 years. So we are very pleased with that, and we're excited to share that with you as well. So some of the features. Here's where the Compact 2 differentiates from the control pump. The Compact 2 has a reset button. However, it also has an automatic reset function. So that means every time water goes, you don't have to go down to your pump and press the button to reset. Versus the control pump, where that automatic reset function is not a feature on that. So you will have to go and manually reset every time you lose water. The compact 2 also has a fault light. So it tells you if you are getting power to the unit, if there's a failure, meaning there's no water in the tank, and if it's on. So you have an easy troubleshooting visual there to help guide you. It also has a small reserve against leaks. And in the new model that's coming later on this year, they've actually integrated an incredible feature. So this feature, when your pump hasn't been in operation for 72 hours or 3 days, it automatically kick on your pump and let it run for a couple of minutes. So what that does is ensure that your shaft seal doesn't stick, the impellers are running. It's going to reduce the need for maintenance in the long run. So trust me, we'll do a great announcement as soon as it arrives, and we'll let you know. See, this model is very easy to install. In 9 simple steps, you can sample the home system ready to go. So you'd also notice as they tested this model, they just plugged it in within the factory. So there was no water supply. And immediately the failure light came on and the pump shut off. So there was no risk of damage to the pump, but it was a safeguard to check that the smart head was indeed working. So the smart head, of course, it's an electrical product. So what we would like to advise that with every installation of a smart head system, you install a surge protector. The reason for this is that the circuit board can be susceptible to voltage fluctuations and damage. Particularly low voltage is the main culprit here. So, like you would with your TV and your other appliances, you'd install a surge protector to protect it. We highly recommend that you do the same for your smart head systems. So, with installing, sometimes things go awry. So, for instance, one of the common things that we see is when installing smart heads, too much glue is used, as well as you don't give it enough time to dry. So what happens is that the glue ends up clogging the check valve on the inlet. The check valve, when you twist it, when you shake the smart edge, you should be able to hear it knock back and forth. With too much glue and glue that hasn't dried properly, it will clog the check valve, and then you'll have to replace the smart head. So always with installing, Make sure you take your time, let the glue dry. This is just one precaution you can take to ensure that your pump system is working properly. And of course, always install your pump with a voltage regulator. So the smart head installation is very similar to what you see with the pressure tank system. Again, the ball valve to be able to break the line, cut off the water for servicing. You have your unions to prevent backflow, as well as you have, check valves to prevent backflow, and then your unions for easy servicing. So, as I mentioned, the smart head fits perfectly into the Pentax pump house. So the Pentax pump house is made by Rotoplastics. And what's great about this, it's made using the rotational molding process that you know and love with the tough tanks, the septic tanks, and a lot of our other products. What this means is that you get a strong, robust product that's going to last for years to come. The pump house itself is quite easy to install. It's weatherproof. It's compatible with most centrifugal jet pumps, so it is a universal pump house. There's a large ventilation window at the back, and this allows airflow. As well as in the front, there's a wide access port, so you can have your discharge line as well as your inlets coming. So with this, what's fantastic about this window as well is if you had any issues, you can always press to restart, and you can even do a visual check of your system if something's not working. So the pump house comes in both granite gray and granite blue to suit your home's aesthetic. So next we go into sizing your pump. So when sizing your pump, it's always important to consider the voltage required. If you plug in a 220 volts pump into a 110 volt socket, you will get an instantaneous motor burnout. And on the other end of things, if you plug in a 110 volt pump into a 220 volt socket, you'll find that the pump is underperforming, it's not working well, and ultimately it will also lead to burnout, but more of a slow death. You also want to factor in the demand at the house or the application you're installing these pumps. So how many water outlets in the home do you have to service? Do they have a garden hose? Do they have kitchen sink, bathroom sink, shower? All of these things we have to count. As well as how many levels does a home have? The other question to ask is what is the plumbing size? So you'd notice on Pentax pumps and any water pump, the discharge as well as the inlet are a specific size. So for instance, on the CAM series pump, the inlet is 1 inch and the discharge is 1 inch. So this is not by accident, it's by design. These pump manufacturers, Pentax, would like you to install your pump with 1 inch plumbing. The reason being, especially important for the suction, is that you don't starve your pump. Don't make it work harder for the water that it needs. And then on the discharge, if you can maintain 1 inch plumbing for as far as you can into the hole, you will reduce friction loss. So I know that within the Caribbean, 1/2 inch pipes in homes and 3/4 are very, very common. So I would like to encourage you to say 3/4 is okay. But where you see you have 1/2 inch pipes, we actually recommend to size up in the horsepower because your pump now has to work overtime to overcome the friction loss that it experiences in the pipe throughout the house. So some additional considerations you have to think of. Does the home have an irrigation or sprinkler system that it has to supply, or does it have shower jets? So all of these things you're going to take into consideration to determine the GPM that is required for the household, gallons per minute. So this is the maximum flow required. So what we do is we count 1 GPM for every outlet. We're going to count it for the kitchen, the bathroom, for the garden hose, for the laundry sink. All these items we're counting as 1 GPM. For homes with bathtubs or large shower heads that use a greater flow, you want to use greater GPM. So we're going to use 1.2 to calculate that. We're going to add it all together and size it on a pump curve.
The basic pump curve looks like this, but they do get more complicated and look something like this. Don't worry, we're going to go through them step by step and start from the basics. Each type of pump has a different chart, and the data plotted on them also varies with the model. The first thing we notice is that on the main vertical y-axis we have the head pressure, and on the vertical x-axis we have the flow rate. Basically speaking, the head is pressure, and the flow rate is how much water the pump can move. So what do these charts represent? We can turn the pump sideways and connect it to a pipe. The pump is pushing the liquid horizontally, so there is no pressure, but the water is flowing at its maximum flow rate. As we slowly rotate the pump towards the vertical position, we see the flow rate decreases, but the pressure increases. That's because it's now pushing against the water and the friction. As we get all the way to the vertical position, there is zero water flowing out of the pump, but maximum pressure. And that's because it's using all its energy to push against the water and hold it as high as it possibly can within the pipe. At this point, it's just spinning the same bit of water, which isn't good for the pump, so you don't want to run a pump like this in the real world. By recording the values during the elevation, we basically get a pump curve, although I will note that pump manufacturers don't test pumps this way because it's just not practical. If you want to know how a centrifugal pump works, then we have covered this in detail in our previous video. Do check that out, links down below. Head is shown on the vertical axis. This is referring to pressure, so we often hear the term head pressure. We measure head in feet or meters, which doesn't seem correct considering we're talking about pressure, especially as you see the pressure gauges on the pump typically in PSI or bar. The reason for feet or meters is that pump manufacturers only know how high their pump can push a liquid. They do not know which liquid your system will be pumping, and as each liquid has different properties, the pressure will vary depending on the liquid used. However, the height it can be moved by the pump will remain the same. For example, we have this pump which can provide 125 feet of head. If we use it to pump water, the pressure will be around 54.25 psi. But if we were to use it to pump milk, then the pressure will be around 56.15 psi. And that's purely because of the properties of the two fluids. Conversion between feet and meters of head is very easy. We have a free calculator for that, which you can find links to in the video description below. Why do we need to know head pressure? Pumps are usually used to move liquid to a higher region, so we need to ensure the pump can reach this elevation. As we pump liquid through the pipes and the fittings, friction will try to oppose the flow. This occurs from the walls of the pipe, but also disturbances to the flow path. This causes pressure losses, which waste energy from the pump. The amount of friction depends on the liquid type as well as the materials and fittings used. Therefore, we must calculate how much friction or pressure loss our system will generate and ensure that the pump we select can overcome this.
So there you go. So when you're counting your GPM, we're always going to put it against the curve to size the pump correctly. We're taking in the demand, the maximum flow, which is gallons per minute, as well as we're taking into account the height of the building and the total head. With that, we plot it on the curve, and then we can determine what is the best pump for the application.
The basic pump curve looks like this.
So this is an example of a pump curve for a Pentax pump. So on the y-axis, you can see we have height in meters, and on the x-axis we have the flow rates. So We're going to be using the US GPM up here in our calculation for 1 GPM for each outlet, as well as the height would be you're taking into consideration the height that the pump has to overcome. So if a pump is on the same level as the house, you also have to consider that. If it's going to be below the house, maybe a platform below the hill, you're going to count the distance between the actual pump and the home, as well as each floor on the home in your head. So say, for instance, we had 20 feet head, you come across, and then we know we're going to get 11 GPM or 11 outlets. So if the home has 11 outlets, we can be confident that this is the right pump for them. And when we're sizing pumps, always size pump based on worst case scenario. So ensure that you factor in every outlet to ensure that it's better to oversize the pump than to undersize it. So of course, with every new pump installation, it is absolutely essential that you prime the pump. If you don't, this would lead to dry run operation and pump burnouts. So we're going to watch a tutorial on how to prime your pump.
Hi, my name is John, and today we're going to talk about the priming of 10 tanks water pump. Firstly, we're going to turn our two of our valves to the closed position. Next, we're going to break the union on our discharge line. Next, we're going to open our supply line to allow us to flow through the pump into the front casing and out the discharge. Now the water is flowing through, there will be air escaping, but you want to see that nice steady flow of water coming to the discharge line. Now we're going to reconnect the union on our discharge line. Now we're going to open our lockout valve. Now we're going to plug it in and we're ready for the pump.
All right, so in the video, you'll notice fill it up with water and ensure that there was a steady flow before plugging it in. So what that ensures is that there's no air left in the front casing. Can anybody tell me why air trapped in the front casing can be detrimental to a pump? If there's any air trapped in the front casing, what would happen to your impeller? What's that? Yes. It probably wouldn't run dry if it was totally like if there was just some air in, but it will put extra strain on the pump, and your pump can be a victim of cavitation, where it erodes the impeller. So you're looking at future impeller damage, as well as without the front casing totally submerged or totally filled with water, your pump is going to have to recover. And it actually, yes, can lead to burnout if you don't have enough water, because your pump is going to overheat, trying to meet your pressure demands. And over time, that can lead to burnout. So thank you. Can we give this young lady a prize? So with pump systems, there are a couple of things that may happen over time. So let's talk through some troubleshooting scenarios. So first one, your pump is not building pressure. So how would you know? First, you can read the pressure gauge. So on the smart end, pressure gauge is located on the side, and the built-in smart end. On a pressure tank system, you look at the pressure gauge at the side of the pump. You take the gauge reading, you check the nameplates for the pressure capabilities, and you will verify against pump curves. So any discrepancy would be a red flag. The pump is not building pressure. So there are a couple of possible causes. One, it could be a leaking in venturi tube. It could be a clogged impeller or defective pressure switch. So you want to check the signs for contact to ensure that it is functioning properly. In another scenario, what do you do if your pump is humming? Well, if your pump is humming, this can be a sign of a larger problem because your pump is going to pull a greater amperage and risk motor burnouts. So possible causes of a humming pump would be shaft seize. So you want to check to ensure that the shaft can rotate. And once it's rotating freely, that rules out the possibility of your shaft being seized. Another reason why your pump may be humming is your capacitor. So you want to test your capacitor. So you're going to test the capacitance and measure it against both the rating on the nameplate as well as the rating on the actual capacitor itself. You want to ensure that the capacitor reading is matching exactly what is stated on the plate to ensure that your capacitor is good and functioning properly. Another reason why your pump may be humming is because your motor is burnt. So this can be ruled out by a simple visual assessment. So on the start and the end winding, you can look for signs of the winding being burnt or scorched. Another scenario, your pump is running continuously. So your possible causes may be your pressure switch needs adjusting. So the pump is not building pressure or cutting off. So maybe your pressure switch needs to be checked. So set always at 20 psi differential, whether it's 20, 40, 30, 50, or 40, 60. So when you're checking your pressure, you always want to log off your discharge line to get that accurate reading. Another possible outcome or another possible reason why your pump may be running continuously is a pressure switch. Your pressure switch connection can be clogged. Or if it's a smart head system or pressure system, you may have a leak on your line. And the smart head system is actually great at detecting this because your pump will run continuously non-stop. Whereas if in a pressure tank system, you may cut on and off, but you have the periods of inactivity when your pressure tank is full and draining down. So this actually happened to me not too long ago. My check valve on my main line was bad and I was pumping water back out. So I realized when the pump was running on and on and on, and we're checking the toilets, we're looking for these leaks, and it wasn't there, and then all the signs pointed to the check valve. So that's how we knew with the pump running continuously that there was some issue with the plumbing, a leak or for the check valve that we had to check. So that could be another issue on why your pump is running continuously. So do we have any questions? Okay, so we have one more prize to give away. I'm going to check to see who was listening. So are we ready? What is the warranty on a Pentax water pump? Okay, all at the same time. Okay. Everybody's leaving here with a certificate today for that. Well done. All right. What is the warranty on the Quailbo Smart Head? 2 years. There you go. Congratulations. So guys, if there are no other questions, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for being fantastic. You're a great audience. Thank you for having me. I'd like to pass you over to my colleague, Kim.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. Thank you for your valuable information. So Miss Ross has a little spin on things. I'm gonna hand over back the mic. We're gonna be doing a spin the wheel.
All right, so everybody who signed in today, your name is on a wheel, and we're gonna see who will be the next lucky winner. So can I get a drum roll, please? All right. We got John. Well done, well done. Congratulations, Miss Johnson.
Congratulations again to all our winners. We still have prizes up for grabs. With no further ado, I'm going to introduce our final speaker today, Mr. Johan Long. Mr. Long has been part of Rotoplastics, and he brings a unique perspective to the discussion of water pumps and tankless water heaters, drawing upon nearly 2 years of direct experience at the water source. Born and raised in Canada, Jehan previously cultivated a strong foundation in analytical precision as a chemical lab technician within the energy sector. This background is meticulously processes and attention to detail now informs his approach to the intricacies of water systems. In his current role, Jehan is actively involved in the practical application and understanding of these technologies and also conducts both internal and external training sessions. This experience allows him to bridge the gap between technical expertise and accessible knowledge, catering to both seasoned professionals and those new to the field. Outside his professional life, Jahan enjoys exploring the outdoors through hiking and is also a keen tech enthusiast. Please welcome Mr. Jihan Long.
Good, good afternoon. How are we doing this afternoon? Wonderful. All right. So we're going to talk about tankless water heaters. How familiar are you all with that? I know in St. Lucia you all more rely on solar heaters, right? That's me, looking guy. Right. Still stable electron, 100 years of innovation. So actually in this year, stable will be 101 years. So we speak one language all over the world, German engineering. We are represented in many key markets throughout the world with our products and solutions.
This includes 2 national, 4 international production facilities, 26 subsidiaries, and over 100, agencies in over 120 countries. Right. So I would like to give out a prize, but I want to start with a question. What do you all believe are the benefits of a tankless water heater? Anybody? Mr. Guy, any painkiller and get your space? Yes, that's everyone. Yes, that's correct. Well, you can speak anyway. I can't get anything, but you can talk. You can talk. That's no problem. Right. You gentlemen, if you can call it that. Any other benefits? The person, right? Yes and no. Anything else? Yeah. Yes. I can't get a price here to get something. Yes. Yes, that is a very good one. Yeah, the best. Yes, it is. The unit only operates when there's a flow of water. So if you open up water tap, it'll activate and it will cut off as it goes. So I don't know if anyone has seen our display. Like once you open it, open your hot water tap, the unit activates. As you take it off, it cuts off. Just very energy efficient, right? Right? So as someone mentioned earlier, compact size maximizes space. So you can essentially put it on your kitchen sink, in your laundry room, but anywhere. It's also IP24 rated, so it can take light splashes, so you can install it outside. Another benefit is the energy saving. As I mentioned earlier, the unit only works when you open a hot water tap. So unlike the traditional tank heater, if you go on a trip for 3 weeks, that unit will heat when you're not there. Once it reaches a certain threshold under the temperature selected, it will heat. You go for 3 weeks, this unit is not going to pull power. Right? Warranty. It's backed by a 3-year warranty that is provided by Rotoplastics in Lucia. So we're here to support the hardware and customers of any issue with the unit. It is quite safe. The unit has a safety switch, so for whatever reason the unit reaches a temperature of water that can boil, that can burn you, scald you, it will trigger a cutoff. Right? Right. Did you know 35 gallons of hot water consumed during an average bath? So the good thing about this unit is that it's instant hot water. So you can take those long showers. Unlike a conventional tank that has a storage tank for hot water, you will run out of hot water eventually. Right? So sizing your heater. So just like sizing your water pump, you need to size for the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario in this case would be how much place is in hot water. So common examples would be your kitchen sink, your dishwasher, your shower, face space, right? But to me, the main place to use hot water the most would be the shower. So one of the biggest factors of when you are sizing a tankless water heater should be the amount of showers you are trying to supply with hot water. Right. So here now are the specs. So the first one, it will be the IS5 1E shower head heater. This is used for single bathrooms. This unit shown here is for 120 volts, but we do have a 220 volt unit that will be introduced in the market very soon. So look out for that. Lower down, we have the DC line. So DC 10 trend It's a 220 volt, 40 amps, 8 kilowatts, and 10 millimeter wire. So the wiring is important because the unit runs at, it's instant hot water, so the unit does pull significantly more power than a standard heater because it heats the water instantly. So the proper wiring size is important. Wire putting a lot of amps could cause the wire to get hot, cause the insulation to melt, and electrical problems, right? The one below is the 15 trend. This one is also 220 volt, 220 to 240. This one's a 60 amp, 12 kilowatts, and 60 millimeter wire. The reason why this one has 60 amp because this one does 3 to 4 outlets of hot water simultaneously. I forgot to mention the DC10 does 2, right? The premiums are essentially same as the trends, but they do come with a dial for you to manually control your hot water. It shows you temperature. You can actually set 2 different temperatures. So if you like one temperature and someone else like a different temperature, they can easily switch it. Then we have our temperature model, also to 30 volts, 230 to 40. But this one actually carries 2 elements, because this one does 4 to 6. This is more for your apartment buildings or buildings with a lot of showers and stuff, right? About tabless water heaters. Designed to install near the point of use greatly. Right, so essentially, the closer the better. We normally recommend them between 20 and 30 feet away to your hot water points. So it wouldn't drop the amount of flow and the temperature. Okay, you lose temperature, friction loss in the pipes. Reliable and internationally recognized as products of the latest and advanced technology. As you mentioned before, German design and engineering, so you know it's good stuff. And of course, the great warranty of 3 years. Right, so this is the first unit. This is the IS unit, the in-shower unit. It is normally meant to be installed right next to the shower. So instead of having to hook it up to any plumbing, it comes with its own shower arm and handle. So you can set it up one time, right? This model is shown here is the 120 to 110 volts. As I said before, we're getting a 220 model. It's bring it out soon. Right? It does come with its own, it has a nice chrome handle and everything. Adjustable control, meaning you can control the temperature, but it does have a flow sensor so that even if you leave it on and you close up your hot water tap, it will cut off. Right? Right. So this one is the DC trend. The 2I technology, triple EI AE, sorry, 3 security system, preset temperature, right? So it does come preset at, we say 45 and 50 degrees Celsius. If you look at this right here, this is the control sensor here. This is how you increase your temperature, right? So you can move it up, but it does come preset at 45 to 50 degrees. Then we have the premium. The premium has 4i technology. We'll talk about that just now. It has an LCD display, multifunctional, adjustable temperature. It also has the 2 memory settings. Advanced flow control, we'll also talk about that. And whether it can calculate your energy savings. Right. So this is what we were talking about, the 2i and the 4i. So essentially, how it works. When you increase the unit to a higher temperature, in order to get to match that temperature, you have to restrict the flow. So the trend units, what we normally recommend you do is you throttle your hot water side, the discharge of the unit, so the water will spend more time in the chamber, allowing it to heat better. The advantages of a DCE premium is that it has a solenoid valve, right? They both have flow meters to check the flow rate of the water passing through. But with the premium, once you increase that temperature, it has a graph for show. It will tell you what is the perfect flow rate and it will restrict the flow. So when you plug in premium, you turn the temperature, you hear the sound. That's the signal by restricting flow, allowing it to spend more time in the chamber, therefore hotter water. Right? So this is the temperature unit. It's mostly used for industrial, well, not industrial, commercial or large volume heating. Right? So this is the 2i versus 3i versus 4i. Right? So the water flow sensor incoming, right? Water flow sensor has an incoming water temperature sensor, output temperature sensor. Basically, it knows the temperature of the water coming in, it knows the temperature of the water coming out. Right? It's a motorized valve, that's the cylinder valve I spoke about. That will adjust your amount of water delivered to the heating element, right? So it will allow the water to get hotter faster. The 3i is just for water flow sensor, incoming water temperature, and output temperature sensor. So in the DC trends coming out soon, they will be coming with the 3i technology. The 2i is being phased out. You still get them in the some of the units now, but we're moving on to the 3i technologies. Right? So 2i technology, two sensors, a flow sensor and an incoming water pressure sensor. So as I said before, the water flow sensor will detect a flow of water telling you to activate, right? Um, right. So these information points are applied to an algorithm to determine the kilowatts of power to apply to reach the desired temperature. So as I said before, it comes at 45 to 50 degrees Celsius as a factory. 3i technology. The 3i technology, in addition to the two sensors featured in 2i, a third sensor is featured to measure the output temperature. Okay. So the 4i technology, this is what is in the DC premium models, ensures fully electronics control, guaranteeing precise and consistent hot water to temperature and delivery. Utilizes three sensors to monitor the inlet and outlet temperatures, water flow rate, along with a motorized valve to adjust the heating output. This allows the water to continuously compare the actual water temperature to the desired temperature, ensuring accurate and stable temperature throughout. So this is the 3i technology. Greater in certain I don't know why that word is in my head. Insertion with lower voltage. Previously, with 2i, if the voltage was less than 240, instead of aiming for the factory 50C, it aimed at a lower temperature proportionally to the voltage drop. In 2A, 220 installations, now the temperature of CPU will be targeted. Right? So with this technology, it helps with if you have a voltage drop, the unit will still run efficiently and help to reach the target temperature is set. Greater resistance to dry heat and water hardness. So hard water is essentially just a high calcium buildup that builds up in the element itself. So when setting up a unit, one important fact is that you have to bleed your hot water system. So before you run power, you hook it up, you open a hot water tap, and you allow it to bleed out all the air. So with this technology, it has an air detection. So if there's air in the system, with any system that can cause a dry fire, which is burning the element. With this sensor, it will detect an air in the system and cut off you via a red light on the board, right? Saving on repair and warranty costs. Heating elements and electronic cards can be placed separately. This was not possible in the previous since they were calibrated together. Now the modules can be separate. So now the older trend models, the element and the circuit board, meaning that you take out the circuit board, you can use another element, right? So this 3i technology means greater repairability and give your unit more of a longer lifespan, right? So, right, so 4i technology. So this will be with the DC premium models. Electronic control. 4i technology relies on a closed loop system where sensors constantly monitor the water flow and temperature. Precise temperature. By monitoring the inlet and outlet temperatures and the flow rate, the system can adjust the heating power to deliver desired temperature consistently, even when the draw points are being used. So this will all go down to higher the temperature, lower the flow rate, right? Eco mode. The technology also supports eco mode, which allows for highly efficient operation and reduced energy consumption. All right, so the key advantages of the tankless heaters. So the way the element is, the element is actually a thermoplastic composition. So it's designed to take double the temperature that the unit can run at, so it will not fail, melt, or break under pressure. Another thing too, because of how the unit is a user flow sensor, debris can mess with the flow sensor, causing it to not work. Because an actual flow of water can pass through the unit, but if something is messing up the flow sensor will not trigger the water activity. That's why we install all our style electron heaters, the strainer. It's a little filter that would catch debris. So we recommend that you check it. Let's say a few months, every 6 months you check it, or as a form of troubleshooting, if you're getting flow coming out of the unit but it's not heating, that'll be the first thing you check. Right? So considerations. You need at least 20 psi of pressure to turn on the unit, right? So we normally recommend a water pump, a pentax pump, to run the units properly. Regular descaling can help the life of the heater. So with descaling, you can use vinegar, that's acetic acid, or acetic acid. And you can use that to run through the unit just to clear the scale in the unit. Don't use too much, but before you start up, make sure to flush the unit properly so you can remove any remnants of the acetic acid. Installation. Must prime system to flush all the air before turning the unit. Same thing I said earlier, because if not, the unit, or if it has air detection, or trip it off. If not, it could lead to the unit dry running and burning the elements, right? Right, so troubleshooting. So let's start with some of the common ones. No lights on the board. Solution. So on the unit, you have to check a few things. One, make sure the unit's plugged in, of course. Make sure it's wired properly. A consideration on wiring, if you put a ground electrical wire, power line on the ground end, you'll get shock in the water. I'm speaking from experience, right? Many experience. So I don't know if y'all can see, there's a white button on the circuit board that is the safety switch. So when commissioning a unit, you must firstly, without power, you expel all the air in the system, and then you press. Once you do it 10 times for I think 10 minutes, you make sure there's a smooth flow of water coming up. Yeah, press that you and then plug it in, the unit come on, right? So as I said before, make sure the unit is plugged in. If the breaker is switched on, the breaker has to be appropriately sized because the unit, the example, the DC10 trends or premium require 40 amp breaker. So if you're a 30 amp breaker and the unit activates, it'll trip the breaker instantly. Right? So yes, I mentioned the safety switch. Right. So a green light, but no hot water. So the first thing you want to check, as I mentioned before, with the inlet filter, you make sure the filter is clear of any debris or anything. Right. Once you clear that and still happen, there's a chance that your flow sensor or flow meter is defective and needs to be replaced. A red symbol on the DC premium screen that will tell you that the circuit board is defective. Right. We carry the parts and it can be replaced. Right. So you're getting, in this case, you're getting both green light and orange light. So on the board, green light means the board is energized. Orange light would entail when the unit is heating or trying to heat. So if you're not getting power, there's a chance that the heating element is defective. An easy way to check it is when you remove the front panel, no power, of course, on the unit. On top of the heating element, there are 4 screws. You will take a multimeter, you'll set it to continuity, and you'll check continuity between all 4 screws. So if the heating element, is working properly, you're supposed to get continuity, the meter will beep. You're supposed to get about 12 ohms between the plugs, right? Right. So you're getting next problem, both green light and orange light, unit constantly tripping when there's nothing use. So what is a very regular symptom of that is that your heating element is defective. So what happens is, well, heating element also good one actually. So what happens is, as I said before, as we all know, when you open a hot water tap, the unit activates. I don't know if everybody got a chance to try it out. When any next break, you have to go try it out. So when you activate the unit sees the flow of water, it activates and heats the water. So what happens is, when you log off the water, the flow meter is supposed to tell the unit that there's no flow of water to cut off. So what happens is, During that period, if there's a fault in the element where it's grounding off, or the circuit board is telling the unit to activate when there's no flow, the unit will boil and reach a temperature about 980 or 90 degrees Celsius, and it'll trigger the safety switch to cut off. So that could be one of the things that causes me to constant every time you're using it. Again, nice hot water. As it's shifted off, you hear a loud click, and the unit is just tripped. Right? The installation of a tankless water heater involves a complex series of steps and are best performed by a licensed plumber. Any questions? Yeah, you're right. Do you have a question or you just stretch it? Can I stretch it? All right, go ahead.
Have you used like this one say you don't have all
Yes, you can, but it would be a bit of overkill because those units are actually with 2 showers. It could work, but it'll be a bit of overkill in my eyes. Yeah. Any other questions? Guy in the orange, yeah. No, this is fully electrical, no solar. Say that again, sorry.
If no electricity, no water, no water.
Unfortunately, yes. Because if you have no sun, no water, what are you there? So, but at least on a cold, wet day, place cloudy, you plug in that tank, place heater, hot water, instant. Hot water. What's that? Not true. How long you back over? You think a heater is faster? Well, I risk the heater now, win. Every time. Any more questions? Say it again. Cost of this product. 1 second. Right, so it's between 1200, but inclusive is 1645, depending on the range of all the model of heater.
Easy, huh?
Sorry, easy. Sorry. I want to give out one price. Oh, sorry.
My question is, what sets DC trend above the other suppliers of water heaters?
Well, I said it on this one. Well, efficiency, of course. The compact size is backed by a company that has been doing this for 100+ years. I don't think one of them could say that. You know, the amazing 3-year warranty it comes with.
Because that's one of the questions that we want to get from our customers when we try to persuade them to buy the DC trend or the DC premium.
All right, well, we could, colleagues and I could give you a package of benefits and everything so you can pass on to them. And that's the whole reason we have these things is so we can educate the sellers, the installers, because you all are the people that will deal with the customer directly.
Front line.
And we all win when the customer gets what they want. You get the sale, everybody wins. If you want, we could put a little picture of me on the poster so we can sell those sales. That's not a problem. We can do that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay.
There are no more prices here, boss. So it's okay, we're back again.
For the units you said for the apartments, and then you said it's best to have the unit installed at least 40 feet from most of these multi-apartment units, the showers. What do you recommend for them? Do we put 2 to maintain the footing?
Well, it all depends on the amount of showers, because the temporary unit is 4 to 6. So depending on the strategy, you can install 2 in different spots. So, or in some cases, we have customers that actually install some of the IS units in each apartment building, each apartment, or EDC units in each apartment, depending on if it's a 1 bathroom, you go with IS in each apartment. If it's a 2 bedroom, you go with a DC. The trend or premium 10 or mostly 10 if it's an apartment, they're just 2 bathrooms. But it's tailor made where you can, if you have specific needs for your customer, you can reach out to us at Rotoplastic and we'll be happy to work with you and give you the best solution for that. Come get a high five. Okay, so get a high five. Gentlemen, you ready in the back? In the back, the gentleman ready.
What's the wattage of the unit?
Wattage on the unit? Which one exactly? 1 second.
The heating element wattage.
Body. Wattage. I'll have to pull that up and get that information. Who knows this one?
Okay, all right, thanks.
It's on the pamphlet.
Give somebody get out my high five. Don't forget in your little nice blue folder, you have pamphlets. Actually, in your nice blue folder, you have pamphlets, a lot of information, but I'm still here to answer any questions. Anything else? The guy in red. The other guy, the guy with the nice hat in red. Plenty of red right here.
So my concern is, take the salesman cap off for a minute. How effective or do you have any experience of it being installed in commercial applications?
Well, in Trinidad, I don't know if you're aware of like Starbucks and stuff. All the Starbucks in Trinidad are installed, have tankless water heater installed. So we have seen them in commercial use a lot, and they work great. Anybody else? So I have a question for our price. How old is the Bel Air truck? Anybody? Anybody? Alright, so I have another question because everyone remember that one. What are the key differences between the 10 trend and the 10 trend and 10 premium? Doesn't know it. Alright. Give me one more. Just give me one. You wasn't quite. She came first. So I remind them the key differences. The 4i technology in the premium. That means that the higher the temperature, unit will restrict the flow of water, causing the temperature for the water to match the actual set temperature. So aside the nice pretty screen dial, you can preset 2 different temperatures for 2 different people. Any more questions? We pass it on to the master of ceremony.
Thank you very much, Mr. Long. So far, how are we doing? Everybody enjoying the prizes? We're still awake? Yes? Before we give our closing remarks, beneath one of your seats, we have golden tickets. One lucky person is going to be walking away. Don't grab any seats, please. One lucky person is going to be walking away with a grand prize. Please look in your seats. One seat per person, the one you're seated on. The general value of the guy, how many seats are you going to bring? Yeah, yes.
You saw Mr.
So we have two more prizes. The first prize so our first prize is going to go to the first participant who walked in through the doors. The very first person, Mr. Alexander.
Oh.
We're just trying to make sure we give away all the prizes so we don't go back to Rotoplastics with them. So just bear with us. Spin the wheel.
Okay. All right, we have two more to give away. So those of you who have put up your hands yet, your chances are running out. So I have, let me see, two questions. Okay, I am going back to Isabel's presentation. Okay, what was the brand of pump which has stainless steel feature? Ah, fell on the yellow shift. Inox. Okay, very good. This next one, a little harder. Think way back to the beginning. They like me to ask this one. Who can remember? Oh, not that far back. um, who can tell me what is my middle name? Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. The one they want me to have you say Giuseppe, but you're correct. Oliver is correct. So you get it. My name is Warren Oliver Giuseppe Flex. Orange cheese. So for the final a grand prize, to be fair to everybody, we're gonna do a spin the wheel again. So it means everybody, including those who won already, and the red shirts who try to get more prizes, have a chance again. So it will be equal. Okay, especially my friends at NHC. I mentioned yesterday and worried that they won prize. Now they've gotten, but there's one particular person who's street will get the prize. So we'll see. It might be your lucky afternoon. She know what is living. Yes. Yeah, very national actually. I was. That's a good one.
Unfortunately, we are not able to show you, but what we'll do is spin the wheel and both of us will announce the name together. Let's go over it. Drum roll, as it said. Name, super. So,
Your price will be one pump house. Now, I know you probably didn't come expecting to transport a pump house, so uh, so congratulations. You're most welcome.
congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, folks, that was the last of the prices. For those of you who didn't win, you'll want still by attending our seminar and you benefited from all the information provided. I'm going to hand you over to Kim, who will then hand over the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you again, everyone, for being part of this, what I would say, memorable moment. We thank you for your participation and everyone who won, congratulations. The pump house, Janelle, I have spaces up. Just finish. So this brings us to the close, the end of our seminar. We want to thank everybody for attending, and we do hope that the information shared was very insightful and valuable. If there are any questions thereafter, we're urging everybody to feel free to reach out to us. We also have cards on the outside. Take one of those, and we'll be happy to assist in any way that we can. Yes, we also have certificates when you're departing, so please ensure that you get those for being here with us today. I'm now going to introduce to you, most of you should know him, our Sales and Operations Manager at Rotoplastics St. Lucia Limited, Mr. Shadrach James. He's going to give our closing remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. It's, all right, so on behalf of Rotoplastics St. Lucia, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to everyone who made this seminar successful. I would also like to thank our presenters, Mr. Warren Flax, Ms. Isabella Ross, and Mr. Jay Hanlon for their very impressive presentation that by now you guys should have enjoyed and gained a lot of information and insight into some of what Rotoplastics does and what we offer, not only in St. Lucia, but across the Caribbean and internationally. I would also like to thank the team for working effortlessly and tirelessly to make this thing happen. Finally, I'd like to thank every one of you for attending and participating, especially Gregory and the gentleman in the back who was answering all the questions. So once again, thank you very much. And if you have any more questions, feel free to contact us today, tomorrow, or anytime. Thank you.
I just want to add one last thing. Unfortunately, because the projector stopped working on us, there it was a link for us to do a survey or feedback form to tell us how we did, rate us. So we know we can do better, what we did right, what we did wrong. So since it's not working, we will email it to everybody. We ask if you just fill out, it'll be select and click, not give you a full response and all that. I appreciate the feedback, so we'll know how we've done and how we can improve or if we're doing well. Thank you very much. Everybody get home safely. Bye.